We live on, yeah. Likes and loves and shares, please. And definitely if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. That's the big one.
Can you turn me down a little bit?
Yeah, I'm a little up too.
Rob's a little hot.
Woo!
Coming a little hot over here.
Yeah, nice and loud. I'm not yelling. I want to thank you, Rob. Your really loud talking was helpful.
Is that better? Yeah.
Yeah, we're better. Ready? Well, good evening, everyone. This is Robert and Jason with the world-renowned Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the Texas Real Estate Mastermind Hour. Too hot for you?
Yeah, it was too hot. I'd take the headphones off. It's, you know, Rob, I don't know, and you don't either. We had some really interesting conversations. We had our 3-day
Sure
weekend.
you don't know? Can I ask in a different way?
Yeah, let me ask you a different way and a different way. I'm like, no, I don't understand. So I'm in this conversation Saturday, and well, Jason, what if rents don't go up? And then what happens if rents double, but interest rates drop? And I'm like, look, man, I don't know, and neither do you. Like the questions just start getting so like crazy town. Like it just, look, man, I have no idea. Here's what I can tell you today. They're renting. And they're renting fast.
Ooh, yeah, we're seeing a big uptick. Just had our property management meeting.
Yeah, if you're a landlord, most of them wasn't looking real good. He was looking a little ragged.
Yeah, I thought he looked good. Looks like he lost some weight.
Oh, did he? Maybe that's what it is.
He looked good.
He was looking like he was signing a lot of leases.
Yes.
He had that sign a lot of lease, haggard look to
and
him.
I don't have time to train an assistant, so I'm just going to run all over town and get this done.
That's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
I don't have time. We need another assistant over there. And he just goes, I don't have time to train anybody. I'm just getting it all done. I'm like, hey, that works for me. That's how you want to do it. So in any case, we are leasing. If you are a landlord right now, you have noticed a huge uptick in leases.
Yeah.
So this is what I always tell folks. It starts in about another month. And that's when the house selling season starts.
Yeah.
And that's when the house renting season starts. So we're already seeing it pretty hot. Given another month, it's going to be bananas.
Yeah.
Absolutely bananas.
Good.
So all these fears.
Food.
Maybe I think I'm just going to start hugging people. Going to make them real uncomfortable.
That makes me uncomfortable. I don't like when people hug me. It really bothers me. Stop touching me. I'm going on a cruise with our buddy from California.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll be on your thing. I'll be out there.
Oh, you guys don't want me to fly? I have to
They're
leave. Like,
all touchy-feely.
oh, are they? Everyone's
It's
gonna.
going to be so uncomfortable on that boat.
And you know what's going to be great? It'll be after the third drink. They get even more touchy.
We are doing an overnight in Cabo. So we're 2 days in Cabo.
So that's what I said. I'm like, I can go if I can catch a flight out of Cabo.
Oh.
Because then I got to be at Playa on like the next, like that
Gotcha.
day.
No.
Okay.
You usually fly to Cabo the
Should I
day
fly-
that we land, stay there overnight, and then fly out
back?
fly out to where you're.
Yeah. Are you getting there Tuesday or Wednesday? Do you know?
I have no idea.
I'm flying. I got to be in Playa on Thursday.
Don't worry about it. They'll be
Okay.
next year. Yeah.
Man, this is a rough life being a real estate investor. Oh, I got to be in Playa or Cabo. Can I do both? Maybe.
Catherine and I are guest speakers, so that should be nice.
And it's a write-off.
100%. Yeah.
It's
absolutely.
a write-off.
Yep.
We're going there for work. How dare you question me, IRS? This is a work trip.
There's actually a dude on that boat who I am going to spend lots of time with.
Oh, yeah?
He is a business consultant from Australia, and I've known him for 5 years. I just never had any one-on-one time because he charges too much.
Oh.
But I'm going to have him captured on a boat, and I'll be carrying my little notebook with me, and yes, I'll be pumping him for information.
You know, that's what you do is you find out what not his favorite drink, but what he really likes to drink, and you say,
Keep pumping. Hey, again,
keep it on my
over
tab.
here, yep, over
Keep them
here,
coming,
yep,
man. Are you sure? Oh, yeah.
So he's the one who brought that concept of, hey, if you're running a business and you've got people working for you, in reality, there's three things you can get done in a day. That's it. It's really hard to get more than 3 mental focused things done in a day.
Yeah.
But the rest of your day is making sure everyone else gets stuff done.
That's true.
And I've been using that management style for a decade now.
I mean, I noticed it. I'm like, today, I'm like, okay, I need to get this contract signed, this email sent, and this thing. And that's it. And then it's just kind of managing all the other stuff that comes in the inbox. So, yeah, 3 things and you're good to go.
There's a lot of FUD out there. I understand it. I think what is happening, and I think we said this before, is this is a time of year where people are going to look at their 401k for 2022 and their accounts, and they're going to look at it and see that they are, they'll say, I'm just down, like it's, like they're at the craps table. They lost a lot of money last year. Mm-hmm. And so then they start thinking, well, what else have I lost in, right? And they're realizing that eggs are now, $25 a dozen. Yep. And they're like, uh-oh, I better check on other things, right? And so they'll come to us and we're like, yeah, property's still there. It's looking good. Or, yeah, there's some issues there. We're going to have to deal with some stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then we become the organization that they can actually access. Like they can't even get on an earnings call at Tesla to ask their question, right? But for us, they can come in, pop in your office, and say, "Hey, tell me what's going on. Yeah, have a seat. I'll explain it to you."
Yeah.
And we've always been able to do that. But I think for us, we have the opportunity. They have the opportunity with us to face to face it.
Right.
So I understand when they're asking all those questions because it's also coming from my whole investment portfolio.
Yeah,
is under siege, right?
We got a guy, and I got to be just completely transparent here. He came out to one of my events. I didn't even recognize him. Like, he walked up to me, and I'm like, he's like, hey, man, it's so. I was like, holy cow. Like, I'm like, man, there's been a lot of stress in somebody's life here. And I get the feeling that with a lot of these investors, we had a conversation with our attorney, and our attorney said this. He goes, most of the people I know are doing capital calls on their deals right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stress in that marketplace, and it's not coming
including
from...
the attorney.
including him. The attorney. So there's a lot of investors are... Now, from what I understand, the deals are still profitable. They're just having cash flow challenges because of interest rate adjustments and cost of construction, that sort of thing. My understanding, most of these things are still relatively profitable, but they're requiring some more cash into the deal, especially those who are facing refinance risk, interest rate risk on a refi. Got to have to put some more cash in the deal. It's kind of how it works. So you couple that along with, an investor that invested into that deal, and they just saw their stock portfolio take a 20% nosedive, and Bitcoin got lopped off by 80%. Yeah. So now they're like, wow, okay, so what's going on with this deal? And you're like, man, nothing's going on. We just need some more cash to do X, Y, and Z. No. What about this and this and this and this? And you're like, whoa, what is going on? And then you realize their entire investment portfolio is not in real estate is in peril.
Yeah. We understand.
I understand, but then the other way I look at it is like, you're worried about something you have no control over.
Yeah, and they're asking chess questions, right? Yeah. If I put the rook here and I move the bishop here and I pull the queen out, is this pawn in jeopardy? I have no idea.
I don't know because
there's way too many assumptions. I can't guess.
It's easier to predict what happens on a chessboard when you move around a little bit versus a marketplace.
Yeah.
If you had told me a year ago that interest rates were going to double, I was like, there's no way. There's no way. Mm-hmm. And then I would love to know who actually did the math behind that and said, yeah, we can double interest rates. The job market will still be strong, and real estate's still going to be ripping at 20% a year. Yep. I would love to see the math behind that. I think a lot of people miss, too, when these reports were hitting in June and July, those job reports were a 3 to 6 sigma miss. That's like a 0.00001% chance of happening.
Sure.
So all these allegedly smart guys out there, models were getting blown out because what was happening was almost statistically impossible.
Yeah. All right, guys, hang tight. We'll be back in a little bit here after this message. Go to our website. We have a lot of events coming up. We've got our big Red Talk setting up to the year right. So go to mrtxre.com, mrtxre.com. Go to the event page. Red Talk coming up. Hang tight. We'll be back. Nice and loud for Rick. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Robert and Jason with the world-renowned Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the Texas Real Estate Mastermind Hour. All right. So speaking of Mastermind, we had our 3-day class. We had about 25 people in the room. That was good. And typically, we get 25. That means, 4 to 5 people are coming in.
Yeah.
And we got 4 in.
So we're at, how many do we have left?
4, maybe 5, yeah.
No, how many spots do we have left?
We have 12 spots left.
So,
and I can tell you, if you're on our email list, you're about to get an email explaining to you that by January 31st, the mastermind cost goes up $10,000.
Yep.
We have so much proof of concept now, it's ridiculous.
I was chatting with one of the guys who wanted to have a conversation with me. He's thinking about joining. In fact, Rosanna's got a follow up with him today. And he was like, what happens, when guys do, I said, look, here's the deal. I said, we now have absolute proof this works.
Sure.
It absolutely works all day long. If this doesn't work for you, it's because you're not working. It's that simple. Yeah. Like, it is literally that simple. And so then this is the example I've been using lately. I said, when you go back and look, if you had bought 12 houses at $185,000 each in December of 2019, if you had bought those in 2019, they appreciated $1 million in less than 3 years.
On the total 12-house portfolio.
Yeah, you would have made $1 million buying 12 $185,000 houses. And he just looks at me and I'm like, this is going to happen all over again. We know when rates come back down, and I'm watching Sorensen over at Altos Research, and I'm watching a lot of stuff that Logan's putting out at Housing Wire, and the magic number seems to be 5.5%. And I haven't pulled up the numbers for today, but I think we're at like 6.
So here's the deal. We do have some requirements. Like, you have to have a good FICO, you got to have cash to go, and you got to have a good job, right? A lot of guys came in this weekend like, I'm making a lot of money, but I'm 1099. Like, how long you been doing it? Just this last year. I'm like, that's not going to get the deals done, unfortunately. So we do have some financial requirements, but the biggest requirement, Jason, they have to be coachable. Yeah. And if they're stubborn and set in their ways and are just looking for unicorns, like, I'm not doing that.
Jason, I'm only looking for deals that are 70% minus repairs and
Katie,
cash flow, $500 a month. And Katie, I'm like, look, dude, you are chasing after that prom queen that you never had a chance with anyway, and that ain't happening. That was 15 years ago. Sorry, buddy. Like that, you are. I don't know who. Well, I go to a lot of Tony Robbins events, and if I can imagine it, it can happen. I'm like, well, okay. I don't know how to deal with people like you because we deal in the world of reality, and this is what we can do in the real world. So. Ridiculous. It starts to get just like, I would love to buy quadplexes in West U.
So here are the people that have been super successful with us. Guys that came in who've already done a little real estate. Maybe they've washed out. Maybe they're not happy. Some liquidated their portfolio, made some money. Now they're sitting on the money. Inflation is just ripping off, 9% a year. They're losing that. Plus they're not taking advantage of the appreciation in the market. And they're, okay, I got to get back into it, but I don't want to do it that way. I'm like, yeah, we understand that way. That way was horrible. And they'll come in and they'll build it out and they'll do really, really well. And we've had a bunch of folks that have done very, very, very well with us. And, I asked the question. There were 3 guys this weekend who gave testimonies. Like, would you do it again? They're like, absolutely. Right? No doubt. I would absolutely join a mastermind, pay the yearly membership, and absolutely move forward. Because these guys, we've changed lives.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're going to get an email. It's going to say 12 spots left, and the price is going up in 7 days. You can join up, get in here, pay in full, or you can hold your spot, but we're not going to hold it forever, and it's a non-refundable refund. Mm-hmm. Yeah, non-refundable deposit. Yep.
So if you guys want to get in and keep it at the current price, you're going to get you're going to get an email. If you've been to the class,
yep,
and we've had a conversation with you, like I said, only 12 spots left.
12 is it.
And that's it. And I will tell you this right now, because I've already gotten this question. Well, Jason, but this is kind of like a sales thing. I'm like, no, we actually do exactly what we say we're going to do.
Yeah.
If you call me the next day, it's $10,000 more. We've actually had somebody call me and he goes, I think he met with you.
Yeah.
And it went up $7,500. And he's like, all right, so you're going to honor that price? No.
No, why would I?
I told you it's
Yeah.
going up $7,500.
Right.
This is no joke.
You have to be congruent, right?
Right.
So, no, I'm not going to do it. He was not happy.
It wouldn't happen, but I mean, he was the guy who should have joined 2 years before. It was like
A bunch of those, yeah.
A bunch of
Hey,
those
I
guys.
remember you guys, and this was really cheap. I'm like, relatively speaking, yes, it was really cheap.
yeah.
But now we've made dozens and dozens of folks that have over $1 million in equity just by doing what we told them to do. Yeah, it's going to be a little more expensive.
Who was I chatting with the other day? And they told me they'd been in for 2 years. Mm-hmm. Not even, I know it wasn't 3 years, but it was more than like a year. And they said, Jason, I'm sitting there looking at a spreadsheet. I made $500,000 with you guys.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so it's working, huh? And they were like, it's working wonderfully well. I said, but there's those first year headaches of getting your first deal.
Yeah, it's a craziness. Yeah, absolutely.
You're dealing with all that. And then they were like, yeah, but 2 years in, you go back and you look at your net worth, you look at what you've got in real estate. He's like, I made $500,000 in less than 2 years in equity. And I'm getting some cash flow and stuff's paying for itself. He's like, this is great. I was like, but the first year isn't fun, is it? He goes, no, that's kind of a pain. But yeah, it works provided you work. That's the real trick. It works provided you do some work. Because this isn't free real estate. There's no such thing as free investing. You got to do something to earn those returns. You got to be the brave one. This is what I'm convinced, because I can never really assess the true risk in real estate. When you really sit down and why are some people successful and others aren't? And I always say it's risk management. But what it really comes down to is you're one of the few people that steps forward and buys the piece of real estate.
Yep.
Most people just sit there and dream about winning the lottery.
Yeah.
And it's like these are the people that step forward and they buy it and they deal with the scary stuff, but they're in our group, so they get to deal with it with us, right? So it's like, oh man, this and this happened. No big deal. Call these 3 guys. Like, oh, okay. And then somebody can go out there and fix it.
So we have a new member. She just joined this month. She has been an agent for 7-8 years. Mm-hmm. She came in and she said, show me what you have on the sheet. I showed her what I had
deal
the sheet.
sheet?
Yep. She's like, why aren't they buying them? I'm like, because they're afraid. Because they're not in Houston. They're not in Katy. They're not in Cypress.
They're not next door to the $1 million house they live in. And
she's like, She's like, who's going to do the work? I was like, we'll have our construction company do the work. She's like, I've been joining the mastermind. I can buy all these. I'm like, yep. She's like, okay, I'll be right back. Went down to her car, came up with her credit card. We swiped it. She's like, okay, now I want all these. So she bought 15 doors in 1 hour. Right?
Yep.
She understands the business. She's not afraid. She's like, you're going to do the construction? Yep. It's going to look like all the other stuff I leased for you and sold for you? Yep. All right. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. She just wiped out our inventory one day.
Yeah,
and other people are like, hey, whatever happened to that? Yeah, we sold it. Like we told you.
That's what I love. When folks come to us and like, Jason, so that deal that you were doing on that one street that was bringing in like $3,000 a month, you were buying for $165. Like, so is that one? No, I told you.
That's still available?
Like, no, I closed it 3 weeks ago.
Right. We have it.
It's in the old JB portfolio. I told you guys, like, if you want it, great. If not, boom, it's coming into this house. So
tonight, when we're recording this, well, not when you're hearing it, but tonight is the property hunt. And we got like 5 great deals.
Oh, yeah.
We have 5 great deals. I'm like, okay, who's interested, right? And if not, one of them I will buy. And one of them you'll buy, right? For sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, listen, if you're interested, it's going to be call with mrtxre.com. Call with mrtxre.com. Get in the queue, have that phone call before January 31st so you can save yourself $10,000 on this stuff and you get your real estate career going. That's call with mrtxre.com. Hey, we'll be back. All right, welcome back, everyone. It's Robert and Jason with the world-renowned Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the Texas Real Estate Mastermind Hour. All right, so we're halfway through the show. You got to go. Like if you're in real estate, like I'm and I started taking the consultations now, and I'm talking to people, and I'm like, oh, you all right, and it's. One of the things we say on our Friday night is most of your problems are between your ears.
Oh, I love that. I hadn't heard that before until I was sitting there Saturday and I was watching. I'm like, Yeah, that's it. Most of your problems are between your ears.
I was like, you understand that's all you, right? It has absolutely nothing to do with the market, absolutely nothing to do with the mechanics of real estate investing. This is all about you.
Here was one of the things that really got me into this business. I'm sitting there. I'm at this real estate event. This is like 2010. And I just met a guy that bought like 60 houses in like 2 years. And then I heard a bunch of stupid members complain about no deals and all this other stuff. And I'm like, well, wait a second. This guy over here
Right.
has probably got more wealth than the rest of y'all in this room.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a member. It wasn't like he was some
Yep.
guru
No,
on
no,
stage, all that nonsense. Like he had the real, he showed me too. He's like, I'll take you to some of these things and do a rehab. I'm like, okay. And I ended up going with him. But anyway, I'm like, wait a minute, this guy's figured it out. And instead of asking the questions of how do I figure this out, you're just sitting here complaining, making excuses. And that's why I realized, I'm like, oh, you're not really serious about learning this. You're serious about discounting the success. Well, this happened, you know, I can't. And you're like, okay, well, that's a waste
People are
of
looking
time.
to justify their failures.
Oh, that's exactly what it is.
That's what they're doing.
Protecting the ego.
Yep. That's the one, right? That's
Yeah.
explain that too on Friday night. You can tell me about fear of loss, like I'm going to lose money, but that ain't it. It's about the ego death, as Freud calls it, right?
Yeah.
It's about your embarrassment.
Yeah. You're embarrassed because you lost money.
I get it. Trust me.
And you know what? That is the mark of a mature investor. And I've said this before. Very famous real estate investor here in town, owns a really great company. And he told me, he said, Jason, before you borrow, he goes, you got to answer this question before you borrow any of my family's money. Have you lost money in real estate? And I laughed. I'm like, absolutely. And then I was like, wait a minute, why did you ask that question?
Right.
And he said, if you've never lost money in real estate, you're either A, inexperienced, or B, a liar. And I'm not talking about losing money on an EMD. I'm not talking about putting in money on an EMD and paying for some legal fees and you're out a couple $1,000 on. I'm talking about you buy it, it doesn't work out, you sell it, lost money. I'm talking about losing real money, not,
Yes.
oh, I did this little thing and it didn't work out because we didn't close. I'm talking about you actually own the thing, you end up losing money. And that's the mark of a mature investor.
Sure.
If you've never lost money, I'm like, I don't want your damn advice. I mean, problem is either A, you're too perfect, or again, you're either lying or you're not experienced enough. Because you get enough experience, you will take one on the chin. That's just the reality. You do enough of these things, you're going to take one on the chin.
Well, it's the other thing we tell people on our 3-day. It's like, stop taking advice from, I'll put it as Kent Clothier used to say this.
Okay.
Stop taking advice from broke-ass people.
Oh, that's perfect.
Right? Sorry, you're going to have to beep the A word again.
I think that's legal. No, it's not? Okay.
Nope.
No, Daryl says it's not.
Sorry.
We're going to get put in a timeout. Okay.
No.
No, he's right.
Stop taking advice from broke people.
I'm not.
Right?
Yeah, it's. I get in these fights, and I don't understand why I do it. I'm arguing with a guy on Facebook right now in one of the Corvette groups.
Oh,
I know
nice.
this is stupid, right? Mm-hmm. He's talking about how much Corvette's better than a 911. I'm like, have you been in both?
Right.
Because I've been in both.
Right.
And it's no comparison, right?
Right.
Corvette's a great car, but it ain't put together like a 911 is.
Right.
And I said, have you been in a Ferrari, Lamborghini, all that other stuff? I can tell you the 911 is still better than all that stuff. But I'm like, if you've never been in one, I'm like, why are you asking a bunch of people that read about fast cars, but have never been in the fast car?
Right.
Like, I'm not going to sit there and lecture you on a Bugatti because I've never driven one.
Right.
But why am I taking any kind of criticism from somebody that's never done something they're critical about?
Did you drive the McLaren?
Yeah, I drove the McLaren.
How was that?
A 720 McLarens have always been goofy.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a goofy car. It's fast. The 720 is, I like to call it video game fast because it's so fast you don't realize how fast you're going. Mm-hmm. Like you're on the freeway, you look down and you're 130 miles an hour easy.
Right.
Porsche kind of, the arrow kicks on and you can hear the wind over it. But a McLaren it's creepy how fast that thing is. Probably, and then the suspension in it, because I really think what McLaren does best is their suspension work. So, and you'll hear guys talk about this at the track, where they're hitting corners, they're hitting rough spots in the corners, and you don't even feel them because it just can adjust so fast. But yeah, they're weird car. I'll just say they're a weird car, and the interiors are kind of crappy, but.
Sorry,
they're
there's a
fast.
tangent you were making a point about.
Yeah, they're fat. We got a new one in the club. I don't know when we get to take it out. I don't know. I think it's a 720, the newer 720 Spider, I think.
Yeah.
So anyway, we'll go take that out one day.
But the point we were making is, don't take advice from people who are not living the life that you want, right?
Yeah.
So And that's why I stand up. I was like, this is what I'm doing. This is my end goal.
Yeah.
And if you want to learn how to do that, join.
Yeah, this is it. Now, if somebody says, Jason, I got a bigger portfolio and I got a higher net worth in real estate, I'm like, oh, I am all of a sudden interested in this conversation. Right. I'd love to know how to do this even better.
Yes.
Those are the only guys I listen to. Everybody else was, Jason, you ought to think about doing this and this. I'm like, well.
You ever thought about doing lumber?
Yeah. Have you ever thought about doing sub-2 owner finance wraps with No, I don't. I'm like, the best thing about real estate is leverage. The first best thing, the bestest of the best, is appreciation. The minute you sell that thing with a wrap, you get zero appreciation. So I'm like, no, why would I do that? That's insane. I could see selling, let's say, this building under finance and then get refinanced out and all that other stuff. That's kind of a different deal. But I don't. Yeah, I get the strangest advice from people, and I'm like, if you're, are you more successful than me? Because if you are, then I'm willing to listen. But if you're not, why would I take your advice? You know what? When my fitness started getting better, it wasn't when I hired a personal trainer. It's when I started working out with a guy who has a physique better than the personal trainer at 50.
Yeah.
Like, that's when things start. I'm like, oh, this guy can do it, and he's 50.
Right.
Like this 25-year-old guy here that's not even as good a shape as this guy.
Right.
Like, that's when it started making sense. And I'm like, why am I taking advice from anybody that doesn't have what I want?
And I think that's the point. So, again, if you're interested in all this stuff, call with mrtxre.com. Call with mrtxre.com. So, my app changed, and my Tesla delivery went from March to today to February 6th.
Oh, Rob needs some money.
Yeah. I need an electrician, so I got to grab my electrician and get him over to my garage. The chargers will be here in 2 days. I laid it all out. I was like, I'm going to do it a little bit higher on the hook so it can drop down and get this going, but the garage door is still a problem, so I'm going to go buy a couple of garage door openers and have him change them out. So, yeah, it's coming. I'm super excited about it. But then I was looking here's the weird thing. I just was walking through the parking lot at lunch the other day, and I just started looking at people's trim. And I just wanted to see, like, is Tesla's fit and finish really that bad?
No.
But I'm looking at a GMC thing. I'm like, well, this is not uneven, and there's a big gap right there. But only Tesla owners go crazy on this stuff.
Well, because it's a bunch of little tech nerds that were buying
right,
these
yeah,
things, right?
And but that's the only thing that, like, JD Power nicks them on.
Yeah.
The fit and finish.
But you've got to think, especially early on, what were those guys coming from?
Sure.
Mercedes, BMW, especially Lexus.
Yes.
So I was chatting. I had to get my transfer case rebuilt on my 89, and so I had some time Friday to just shoot the breeze with the guys at the shop, and we were talking about tolerances and all that other stuff. And he said, there's Toyota, and even what's interesting is, even though Lexus is Toyota, he said they do build them differently.
Yeah.
And he said the tolerances on just a regular old Toyota compared to because they do Jeeps and they do anything four-wheel drive that rock crawls, they do it. And he was like, Toyota is not, everyone else is not even close to how tight Toyota runs their tolerances. So when you're comparing a Lexus to a Tesla, they're going to be really different. But when you compare a Tesla to a other domestic car,
like
Tesla's
Camry, Honda Accord.
Tesla's going to be better, if not on par. So I think that's going to be the big difference.
Hey, guys, hang tight. We'll be back. This is Robert and Jason. Hang tight. Yep.
You ready? Oh. Getting a little warm in here, huh?
It's passed already for me. Hey, welcome back, everyone. Robert and Jason with the world-renowned Mr. Texas Real Estate. If you guys want to learn about all the events we have coming up, go to mrtxre.com. Absolutely go check it out. Boy, there's a lot. 100 people are coming in for the EXP thing.
Really?
The free headshot night also. Okay. And so that should be fun. And we got a lot of mastermind events, got a lot of good events coming up, apartments again, Airbnb. We got a big 3-day Airbnb training class that's actually at Airbnbs, not in a hotel somewhere. Got a big one in March.
You know what? I never even thought about that. How funny is it when the Airbnb guru does it at a hotel and not one of their Airbnbs?
Right, yeah.
They should do their classes.
It doesn't
at
make
Airbnbs.
sense.
I don't get it.
Whatever. Big 2-day on how to raise private capital.
That's going to be a fun one.
And that is a very expensive class, but again, you raise $250,000, it's paid for itself, right?
Oh, easily.
So that's coming up. You'll be seeing that if you're on the email list. There's an early bird special on that once we get in very quickly. And we have our 3-day coming up in February, which is going to be great.
I want to go back to the tolerances over at Tesla because I think this is
Sure.
another important piece. So I just ordered a vehicle, and the components in that vehicle, they have the engine that is in that is a derivative of an engine they built in the late 80s. And this particular model has been in production for 10, 12,
Sure.
15 years. And so Tesla has not been really building all these cars that long. So what ends up happening is it's kind of like the new HVAC system heat pump thing they put in.
The
right?
Octovalve.
That thing is crazy.
Yeah.
So they'll get to a point where they've got all those smart engineers and instead of trying to figure out how put the whole car together, they'll just focus on this piece. We want to marginally improve this, and this. So another 5 to 7 years from now, not only is the battery technology going to get better, but so is all that other stuff, right? And they'll do minor. It's not like they're going to completely change the Model Y, the Model 3. They'll do, different lifts on the front, the tire, all that other stuff. But it's that next, where I think it real leaps and bounds is going to be the next 5 to 7 years when they're tightening all that production up. Then you're going to, my guess is what Elon's going to want is you're going to get a vehicle that has tighter tolerances than anyone else on the market.
Right.
And the fit and finish is going to be insane.
So if you there's a very interesting article in the New York Times, I believe it was the Sunday Times, about Elon.
Yeah.
And of course it's, left-leaning publication,
Yeah.
but it rode very close down the middle.
Okay. Because I thought Elon just joined QAnon and all that other stuff, according to everybody lately.
Kind of. Anyway, so it really put it into perspective. It's like, hey, this guy has got a philosophy, right? And this is the deal. And the complaint is, now they're complaining, is like, we need all these things need to be redesigned. We're bored with the design. It's like, that's not the purpose of the company.
No.
The purpose of the company is to get electric vehicles on the road.
Yeah.
Period.
It is. I've always said they are not pretty cars. They're just not.
No, but they just work really well.
They work
right?
really well. So they're not hiring. Toyota has always been the same problem
Sure.
too, where it's like they never put the latest tech in there because it's got to last 25 years.
Yep.
That was always there, which is one of the reasons why Toyota has said we're not quite on the EV train yet. Let's just wait a little bit longer. But and their engineers, they're not hiring guys that make pretty stuff. They're functional engineers, right? Let's make it work.
Look at the Cybertruck, right?
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of cool looking.
Yeah.
So.
But they went through this whole thing, like Twitter and all this other stuff, and I was like, he's like, the media is telling me, everyone, I've lost $170 billion and I'm not the richest person in the world and blah, blah, blah. And he just like, I don't care.
I don't care. Who cares?
But let's just go through the facts. I own this, I own this, I own this, I own this, I own this. Because there's not public evaluations on his property, you don't know how much I have.
Yeah.
And he's like, but once again, I don't care if Tesla goes to $0 a share. As long as we are promoting the transition to electric vehicles, I'll have succeeded. And that was the gist of the article. It's like he doesn't care if he's burning it all down because he's got a different goal than what you think it is. And it's not to be the richest man in the world. It just so happens that he's landed there several times, right? So that was a really interesting article.
So here is why Elon is ultimately successful, because he's not getting his validation from other people.
For sure.
This is one of the biggest problems I see with real estate investors, just folks in general.
Yeah.
My validation as a successful entrepreneur is the share price. He doesn't care because he has no control over it. What do I have control over? Building a whole lot of electric cars to go sell them. That's what I want to do, right? So when real estate investors get all frothed up over, well, I got this investment property and it's cash flowing, but it's lost $20,000 in equity. Why do you care?
Right.
Why do you get maybe it lost $20,000 next year? It makes 60.
Yeah.
Like, why do you care about this on a day-to-day basis? Like, looking at your stock portfolio when you can't pull it out till you're 72.
Well, that's another problem. Like, we got some people that come to our event, and they're not stock investors; they're stock traders.
Right. Oh,
so they're trying to figure out, how do I make a quick buck? How do I move this? And I was like, yeah, none of that works here, bro. That's not what it is.
Actually, it doesn't work on the stock market either.
Clear it has it. Yeah, for a lot of people, right? All
Because
those guys who made
let me
$2
put it this way:
million.
if that plan worked, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah, what are you doing here?
If that day trading and I'm teaching people how to run the market, you would not be here. But why are you here? This is I would argue this is the world's oldest profession, putting roofs over heads.
Yep.
So why are you now going from high tech bit bro space to the most blue collar, get your hands dirty business?
So there were 2 kids in our event this weekend.
Yeah.
Still in high school.
Yeah, they're graduating this year. They're not much older than my son. So
Got their parents' blessing to come, and they came, and they're like, we know we have to have real estate, and we want to get started as soon as possible. I was like, I almost kicked him out.
yeah.
I was just so dang jealous.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem.
So you're 18 and you're already starting real estate? My goodness.
It's like the gal I was chatting with at the last event. She's 21. Here's the problem. You're going to catch a little bit of the dragon by the tail, and then you're going to sell it to go take 100, 200, 500 grand.
I don't think those 2 kids are.
They probably are. I've seen this
You
movie
think so?
before.
Yeah.
I've seen this movie before. So it's like you got to stick with it.
Yeah.
I just haven't met anybody, even when they were investors when they were young, that stuck with it.
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing. It's like, hey, give me 3 to 7 years. You've got $1 to $2 million of free and clear real estate, cash flowing between $10,000 and $15,000 a month. That's a really good place to start.
Yeah.
Don't mess up that.
Yeah.
Just get that in your back pocket and feel good about the rest of your life.
Well, and those guys, I could tell, their parents, I can tell their parents are pretty
One
successful.
kid said, we have really good parents.
Yeah, they got really good parents.
Clearly you do.
So the game I would have played is, hey, mom, dad, let's go do one of these and see what happens.
Yep.
And then mom and dad will probably give a lot of, how can I put this, really great loans to the kids as gap financing, as seconds. That's the way I do it with my boys. And really great loans just so they can start building their portfolio.
Yep.
And then probably in 5 to 7 years, they sell 1 or 2 of those, pay all the seconds off, and then they're good to go. But that's exactly how I would do that.
Yeah, for sure.
So just got a great email here from Mike Sorensen over at Altos Research. New video, latest data shows surprising home price strength. What? Prices are going back up?
Yeah.
I thought the world was going to end. Uh-oh. I guess there's no cheap real estate out there. This is one thing I'm telling all of our mastermind folks right now. I'm like, guys, this looks just like COVID all over again, where everyone stopped buying for like a couple of months.
Yeah.
And then prices went up 20%.
Mortgage market went a little nutty, and now we're back.
Mortgage market went nutty. So you need to get moving now. You cannot think about it. You are going to miss buying 12 houses. 3 years from now, they're worth 40% more. You would have made $1 million. $1 million.
Guys, well, hopefully we'll see you here this month in February. We got some big stuff coming up. Red Talk is coming up on the first Thursday night, I believe. Go check it out. It's going to be setting up your goals, setting up your year right, understanding what you need to do to be successful in real estate. We've got Airbnb. We've got small apartments. We've got a women's group. We've got a whole bunch of stuff, including our 3-day event. Go to mrtxre.com. Hey, hang tight. We got a short message, and then we'll be done.